Do you have any questions before we begin? How did you come here today? Why are you here today? Why do you want to become a U.S. citizen? Have you studied for the citizenship test? How did you study? What did you do? Okay, let's begin. Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You can sit down. What is an oath? At this point I have to check your identity. I'd like to see your passport and alien registration card. What is your full name? Spell your last name. Have you ever used any other names? Do you want to change your name? How long have you been a permanent resident? When did you first come to the U.S.? What is your social security number? Date of birth? Where were you born? What is your country of citizenship or nationality? What is your race? What is your gender? Your marital status?
Yes.
Have you ever been divorced? All right. Now I'm going to ask you some questions about U.S. history and government. There are 4 amendments to the Constitution about who can vote. Describe one of them. Under our Constitution, some powers belong to the federal government. What is one power of the federal government? What stops one branch of government from becoming too powerful? What did the Declaration of Independence do? When was the Constitution written? Name one problem that led to the Civil War. Which president is called the father of our country? How many voting members are in the House of Representatives? What movement tried to end racial discrimination? Name your U.S. representative. Now I'd like you to write the sentence that I say. A senator is elected for 6 years. Good. I'm going to show you a sentence now. Read it out loud. Okay, you passed that part of the test. Now we will continue with the interview. I want to check the information on your N400. Where is your current home address? How long have you lived at your current address? What is your daytime phone number? An evening phone? How tall are you? What is your weight? Eye color. Are these all the places you have lived in the last 5 years? Is this list of employers complete? What do you do? How many days were you out of the U.S. in the last 5 years? How many trips of 24 hours have you taken out of the U.S. in the last 5 years? How many times have you been married? What is your spouse's full name? What is the immigration status of your spouse? Where was your spouse born? Did your spouse become a citizen? The date? Have you been married before? How many children have you had? What are their names, birthplaces and current addresses? Do you have any children not listed here? Have you ever claimed to be a U.S. citizen in writing or any other way? Have you ever registered to vote in any federal, state, or local election in the United States? Have you ever voted in any federal, state, or local election in the United States? Do you now have, or did you ever have, a hereditary title or an order of nobility in any foreign country? Have you ever been declared legally incompetent or been confined to a mental institution? What does legally incompetent mean? Do you know what mental institution means? Do you owe any federal, state, or local taxes? Have you ever not filed a federal, state, or local tax return since you became a lawful permanent resident? Have you called yourself a non-U.S. resident on a federal, state, or local tax return since you became a lawful permanent resident? Have you ever been a member of, involved in, or in any way associated with, any organization, association, fund, foundation, party, club, society, or similar group in the United States or in any other location in the world? Have you ever been a member of or in any way associated fault with, the Communist Party? Any other totalitarian party? A terrorist organization? Have you ever advocated the overthrow of any government by force or by violence? Have you ever persecuted any person because of race, religion, national origin, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion? Between March 23, 1933 and May 8, 1945, did you work for or associate in any way with the Nazi government of Germany? Were you ever involved in any way with any of the following: genocide, torture, killing, or trying to kill someone, badly hurting, or trying to hurt a person on purpose, forcing, or trying to force someone to have any kind of sexual contact or relations, not letting someone practice his or her religion? Were you ever a member of militia? What does paramilitary unit mean? Did you ever serve in police unit? Did you participate in self-defense unit? Were you ever a member of Vigilante unit? What does Vigilante unit mean? Did you serve in rebel group? Did you participate in guerrilla group? What does guerrilla group mean? Were you ever a member of militia? What does militia mean? Did you ever serve in insurgent organization? What does insurgent organization mean? Were you ever a worker in prison or jail? Were you ever a volunteer in prison camp? Were you ever a soldier in detention facility? What does detention facility mean? Did you ever serve in labor camp? What does labor camp mean? Did you ever serve in any other place where people were forced to stay? Were you ever a part of any group, or did you ever help any group, unit, or organization that used a weapon against any person, or threatened to do so? Did you ever sell, give, or provide weapons to any person, or help another person sell, give, or provide weapons to any person? Did you ever receive any type of military, paramilitary, or weapons training? Did you ever recruit, enlist, conscript, or use any person under 15 years of age to serve in or help an armed force or group? What does recruit mean? What does enlist mean? What does conscript mean? Did you ever use any person under 15 years of age to do anything that helped or supported people in combat? Have you ever committed, assisted in committing, or attempted to commit, a crime or offense for which you were not arrested? What does arrested mean? Have you ever been arrested, cited, or detained by any law enforcement officer, including any immigration official or any official of the U.S. Armed Forces, for any reason? Have you ever been charged with committing, attempting to commit, or assisting in committing a crime or offense? Have you ever been convicted of a crime or offense? Have you ever been placed in an alternative sentencing or a rehabilitative program, for example, diversion, deferred prosecution, withheld adjudication, deferred adjudication? Have you ever received a suspended sentence, been placed on probation, or been paroled? Have you ever been in jail or prison? Have you ever been a habitual drunkard? Have you ever been a prostitute, or procured anyone for prostitution? Have you ever sold or smuggled controlled substances, illegal drugs or narcotics? Have you ever been married to more than one person at the same time? Have you ever married someone in order to obtain an immigration benefit? Have you ever helped anyone to enter, or try to enter, the United States illegally? Have you ever failed to support your dependents or to pay alimony? Have you ever made any misrepresentation to obtain any public benefit in the United States? Have you ever given any U.S. government officials any information or documentation that was false, fraudulent, or misleading? Have you ever lied to any U.S. government official to gain entry or admission into the United States or to gain immigration benefits while in the United States? Have you ever been removed, excluded, or deported from the United States? Have you ever been ordered removed, excluded, or deported from the United States? Have you ever been placed in removal, exclusion, rescission, or deportation proceedings? Tell me, what does deportation mean? Are removal, exclusion, rescission or deportation proceedings currently pending against you? Have you ever served in the U.S. Armed Forces? Are you currently a member of the U.S. Armed Forces? Have you ever been court-martialed, administratively separated, or disciplined, or have you received an other than honorable discharge, while in the U.S. Armed Forces? Have you ever been discharged from training or service in the U.S. Armed Forces because you were an alien? Have you ever left the United States to avoid being drafted into the U.S. Armed Forces? Have you ever applied for any kind of exemption from military service in the U.S. Armed Forces? Have you ever deserted from the U.S. Armed Forces? Are you a male who lived in the United States at any time between your 18th and 26th birthdays in any status except as a lawful non-immigrant? Did you support the Constitution and form of government of the United States? Do you understand the full oath of allegiance to the United States? Are you willing to take the full oath of allegiance to the United States? If the law requires it, are you willing to bear arms on behalf of the United States? What does it mean to bear arms? If the law requires it, are you willing to perform non-combatant services in the U.S. Armed Forces? If the law requires it, are you willing to perform work of national importance under civilian direction? Congratulations, you have passed all parts of the citizenship test and interview. You will receive a notice of an oath ceremony where you will be issued a certificate of naturalization.